Welcome back to the Dinar Daily. We begin today's comprehensive report by addressing the urgent and rapidly evolving financial landscape within Iraq, a situation that has garnered the intense attention of global economists and regional stakeholders alike. As we approach the critical window of December 2025, the nation stands at a pivotal crossroads, balancing the weight of historical economic challenges against the promise of modern reform. The atmosphere in Baghdad is charged with anticipation as financial authorities prepare to unveil a series of strategic updates that could fundamentally alter the trajectory of the national economy. This is not merely a routine update. We are witnessing the culmination of months of high-level planning, international negotiation, and internal policy restructuring. For observers tracking the development of Iraq's monetary systems, understanding the nuance of these upcoming changes is vital, as the decisions made in the coming weeks are expected to set the tone for the entire fiscal year ahead. To truly grasp the magnitude of the current situation, one must look beyond the surface, level headlines, and examine the complex machinery of Iraq's financial governance. The country is currently navigating a sophisticated labyrinth of monetary policies, aiming to tackle long-standing issues such as inflation control, liquidity management, and international compliance. This is a period of intense scrutiny, where every move by the central bank and government ministries is being weighed and measured by the global community. The narrative emerging from the region is one of cautious transformation, where the ultimate goal is to transition from a volatile, oil-dependent economy to a stabilized, diversified financial powerhouse. This report aims to dissect these intricate layers, offering you a clear, unobstructed view of how Iraq is attempting to turn significant obstacles into stepping stones for future growth, without succumbing to the pressures of a fluctuating global market. A central pillar of this ongoing economic evolution is the rigorous evaluation process currently being conducted by the Financial Action Task Force, commonly known as the FAT. This international watchdog, which sets the standards for combating money laundering and terrorist financing, holds the keys to Iraq's deeper integration into the global banking system. The upcoming review, scheduled for the first half of 2026, looms large over the nation's financial planning. While this audit is technical in nature, its implications are profoundly practical for the Iraqi economy. A positive outcome from the FATF review is not just a badge of honor. It is a functional necessity that could strip away the restrictive red tape that currently hampers cross-border transactions. The anticipation surrounding this event underscores the government's desperate need to prove to the world that its banking sector is transparent, secure, and ready for open business. The potential ramifications of meeting the FATF's stringent requirements cannot be overstated when discussing the future of the nation's currency and trade capabilities. Analysts have indicated that if Iraq successfully demonstrates compliance with international standards, it could lead to the removal of the country from various financial watch lists and gray lists. Such a development would arguably be the single most significant confidence booster for international investors who have remained on the sidelines due to perceived risks. Being cleared by the FATF would signal to major global financial institutions that Iraq is a safe harbor for capital, potentially unlocking billions in foreign direct investment. This process is far more than a bureaucratic exercise. It is a foundational step toward normalizing the Iraqi dinar's standing in global commerce and allowing the nation to trade without the heavy friction of sanctions or enhanced due diligence protocols. Parallel to these regulatory efforts, there is a significant diplomatic dimension to Iraq's economic strategy, highlighted by the recent involvement of high-level international envoys. Notably, a United States envoy has recently received official assignments specifically targeted at assisting Iraq with its dual objectives of economic revitalization and national security. This development points to a deepening collaboration between Baghdad and Washington. suggesting that Iraq's financial recovery is viewed as a linchpin for broader regional stability. During recent high-profile meetings, briefings were conducted that prioritized the stabilization of Iraq's monetary management systems. While the specific details of these diplomatic orders remain classified, the very presence of such coordinated advisory efforts indicates that Iraq is not navigating these turbulent waters alone, but is proceeding with the guidance of experienced external partners. This intensified level of international cooperation serves as a critical reassurance to stakeholders who are concerned about the execution risks associated with such massive reforms. The involvement of U.S. envoys and other global advisors underscores the reality that Iraq's modernization plan is being drafted with a level of sophistication that aligns with global best practices. For the average citizen and the foreign investor, this signals that the path forward is being charted with a focus on long-term durability rather than short-term fixes. The expertise provided by these international figures is expected to influence the timing and effectiveness of the financial reforms, ensuring that when changes are implemented, they are done so within a framework of security and diplomatic support. It is a clear indication that the economic health of Iraq is a priority that extends far beyond its own borders. However, amidst this flurry of diplomatic and regulatory activity, it is imperative to address the rampant speculation regarding immediate currency revaluation. Financial experts and official sources have been keen to clarify that a full-scale, overnight revaluation of the dinar is not anticipated to occur within the current calendar year. The ongoing discussions and the steady stream of press releases should be viewed as preparatory steps rather than announcements of an imminent rate change. The authorities are engaged in a process of expectation management, trying to separate the technical reality of monetary reform from the rumor-driven excitement that often circulates on social media. It is crucial for observers to understand that the absence of an immediate rate hike does not signify failure. Rather, it indicates a commitment to a gradual, sustainable process that avoids economic shock. Patience, therefore, becomes the most valuable asset for anyone monitoring the situation, as the government prioritizes the security of the economic foundation over speed. The strategy currently being deployed is methodical, ensuring that policy alignments are fully in place before any significant moves are made regarding the currency's value. Rushing a revaluation without the necessary economic stabilizers, such as a diversified revenue stream and a robust private sector, could lead to catastrophic inflation or market collapse. Consequently, the timeline for these changes is dictated by economic indicators and stability metrics, rather than public demand. The narrative from Baghdad is consistent. The destination is a stronger currency, but the journey requires a steady hand and a deliberate pace to ensure that the gains made are not lost to volatility. Guiding this steady approach are key architects within Iraq's financial hierarchy, including highly respected economists and former central bank leaders whose influence remains pervasive. One such figure has long championed a strategy focused on restoring the dinar's strength through structural integrity rather than artificial manipulation. This school of thought emphasizes that true monetary reform is not merely about changing the numbers on a screen, but involves a comprehensive overhaul of how the state manages its wealth. The philosophy here is that a currency's value is a reflection of the nation's economic health. Therefore, to fix the currency, one must first fix the economy. This involves rigorous goals for reserve management, the stabilization of oil revenues, and the enforcement of realistic financial policies that can withstand external pressures. This leadership circle is actively working to establish a credible monetary system that can safeguard the currency against the wild swings of the global market. Officials are currently developing mechanisms that utilize tools such as managed floats and effective exchange rate adjustments to create a buffer for the dinar. The primary objective is to construct a financial framework where the currency can regain its purchasing power organically and sustainably. By focusing on credibility and trust, these architects aim to improve Iraq's credit rating and standing on the global stage. It is a scientific, data-driven approach that rejects populist demands in favor of mathematical soundness, ensuring that when the dinar does rise, it is supported by a foundation of real tangible assets and economic productivity. The urgency of these reforms is compounded by recent and severe shifts in the global energy sector, which have direct consequences for Iraq's bottom line. Reports indicate that geopolitical developments, specifically a peace agreement scenario between Ukraine and Russia, have triggered a significant drop in global oil prices. For a nation like Iraq, which relies heavily on crude exports to fund its national budget, this is a precarious development. Current oil prices hovering between $59 and $61 per barrel present a stark challenge when contrasted with Iraq's financial requirements. The interconnected nature of global peace treaties and local commodity prices highlights the vulnerability of a single commodity economy, forcing Iraqi planners to accelerate their reform timelines to mitigate the impact of reduced revenue. The mathematics of this oil crisis paint a concerning picture for the nation's fiscal deficit. It is estimated that Iraq requires an oil price of approximately $84 per barrel to reach a financial break-even point for its current budgetary obligations. With prices falling significantly below this threshold, the government faces a looming revenue gap that could strain its ability to fund social programs, infrastructure projects, and public sector salaries. This discrepancy creates a high-pressure environment where the margin for error in financial planning is non-existent. The potential for a budget deficit underscores why the monetary reforms and the push for diversification are not just optional improvements, but urgent survival strategies needed to keep the state's machinery running during periods of low oil valuation. This situation vividly illustrates the deep interconnectedness of global events and Iraq's domestic financial health. A diplomatic handshake in Europe can result in a fiscal tightening in Baghdad, proving that Iraq cannot operate in isolation. Stakeholders are meticulously monitoring these international developments to anticipate how prolonged periods of low oil prices might force the government to adjust its short-term and long-term economic plans. The oversight committees in Parliament and the central bank are keenly aware that they must navigate this period of oversupplied oil markets with extreme fiscal discipline. The current environment demands a level of agility in fiscal planning that has historically been difficult for the bureaucracy to achieve. Yet the stakes now leave them with no other option. In direct response to these mounting pressures, the Central Bank of Iraq and economic planners are exploring strategic measures to stabilize the national currency and simplify commercial activities. One of the most discussed technical approaches involves the project to remove zeros from the nominal value of the dinar. This process, often referred to as redenomination, is intended to simplify transactions and accounting procedures that have become unwieldy due to inflation. By adjusting the real effective exchange rate and introducing more transparent accounting mechanisms, authorities aim to make the currency more practical for daily use and international trade. While this does not automatically increase the value of the currency in terms of purchasing power, it is a critical psychological and logistical step in restoring confidence in the dinar as a functional unit of exchange. Complementing these currency adjustments is a robust initiative to significantly increase the nation's gold reserves. The central bank has been aggressively acquiring gold as a strategic asset to provide a tangible, unshakable backup for the currency's valuation. In uncertain economic times, gold serves as the ultimate hedge against inflation and currency devaluation. By diversifying its reserves away from a purely fiat-based holding to one that includes substantial bullion, Iraq is strengthening its sovereign balance sheet. This move sends a powerful message to the market. The Iraqi dinar is being fortified by real assets. Through these combined efforts of accounting reform and asset accumulation, the state hopes to maintain a delicate balance between currency stability and the adaptability needed to survive market shocks. Furthermore, the government is actively pivoting toward a strategy of economic diversification to break the dangerous addiction to oil revenue. Beyond the energy sector, significant investments are being channeled into infrastructure, tourism, and industrial development. The logic is clear. By creating multiple streams of income, the economy becomes less susceptible to the volatility of the oil markets. Developing a tourism industry around Iraq's rich historical sites and rebuilding the industrial base to produce goods domestically can retain capital within the country and generate tax revenue that is independent of the price of a barrel of crude. This diversification is seen by experts as the only viable path to long-term solvency and is a key component of the defense strategy for the dinar. As we look toward the specific timeline of December 2025, the timing of impending financial announcements has sparked intense interest and speculation. Authorities have signaled that specific mechanisms designed to enhance liquidity and improve currency valuation are slated for introduction. While the exact details remain under wraps to prevent market manipulation, indications suggest these initiatives will provide the bedrock for a managed monetary environment. Officials have stressed that these December updates should be viewed as part of a continuum of reform rather than a singular event. The goal is to coordinate policy changes with market realities, ensuring that the transition to a new financial era is smooth and does not disrupt the daily lives of citizens or the operations of businesses. Amidst these complex changes, the battle against misinformation and rumor has become a priority for the government. The central bank has emphasized the critical need to distinguish between speculative reports driven by social media excitement and verified policy actions released through official channels. Misinformation can create unnecessary anxiety, leading to hoarding, panic selling, or unwise investment decisions by the public. Iraqi authorities are working harder than ever to provide clear, factual guidance to citizens, investors, and traders. Transparency in communication is being wielded as a tool to maintain trust, ensuring that the market reacts to reality rather than fantasy. By keeping the public informed, the state hopes to align all stakeholders with the broader goals of fiscal responsibility. This communication strategy is vital because public confidence is the invisible currency that backs the actual money. If the public loses faith in the reform process due to unfulfilled rumors, the entire economic recovery could be jeopardized. Therefore, official spokespersons are taking to the airwaves to explain the rationale behind monetary changes and the steps being taken to stabilize the economy. These awareness initiatives include detailed guidance on how currency changes will work, the impact of global oil prices on the local market, and how the reforms will eventually lead to a better quality of life. Education is being used to transform the population from passive observers into informed participants who understand the necessity of the current austerity and reform measures. Another significant component of the broader economic strategy involves fostering deep collaboration with international partners through trade and development agreements. Delegations from various foreign countries are currently engaging with Iraqi officials to discuss cooperation, trade partnerships, and city twinning projects. These collaborations are designed to bring in foreign expertise, technology, and capital to strengthen local economies and create jobs. By integrating Iraq's economy with those of stable, developed nations, the government is positioning the country as a reliable partner in the regional system. These relationships serve to further diversify revenue sources and facilitate the transfer of knowledge that is essential for modernizing Iraq's outdated industrial and banking sectors. Financial experts continue to monitor the central bank's adherence to a scientific, data-driven perspective on currency management. Moving away from political posturing, the bank is utilizing sophisticated modeling to manage reserves and liquidity. Analysts note that this shift toward technocratic governance is essential for restoring genuine confidence in the dinar. It indicates that decisions regarding the exchange rate and interest rates are being made based on economic fundamentals, such as inflation data and balance of trade figures, rather than political pressure. This disciplined approach is the hallmark of a maturing financial system and is a prerequisite for any currency that aspires to be traded freely on international markets. In parallel with these structural reforms, the government is preparing mechanisms to manage market reactions through the use of managed floats. This technique allows the central bank to intervene in the currency market to prevent extreme volatility without strictly pegging the rate. By anticipating volatility and having the tools to smooth out the peaks and valleys, authorities can edit currency values in a controlled manner. This approach prevents sudden shocks that could bankrupt importers or wipe out the savings of citizens. It is a defensive strategy that reflects a carefully coordinated effort to foster stability, allowing the market to find its equilibrium over time rather than forcing an unnatural value that cannot be sustained. The combination of currency adjustments, gold reserve management, and strict fiscal oversight paints a picture of a nation that is serious about its recovery. Stakeholders, including commercial banks, foreign investors, and local business owners, are closely observing these measures as they provide critical signals about the future performance of the dinar. The consensus among serious analysts is that while the road is challenging, the direction is correct. The alignment of fiscal policy, government spending, and monetary policy central bank actions is tighter than it has been in decades, suggesting a unified front in the battle for economic sovereignty. The current oil crisis, while undeniably painful, is being reframed by some optimists as a necessary catalyst for change. It is forcing the acceleration of diversification strategies that might otherwise have languished on the drawing board. By reducing reliance on oil revenue alone, Iraq is being compelled to build a more resilient financial system that can withstand the cyclical nature of energy markets. The expansion into renewable energy initiatives, agriculture, and manufacturing is no longer a luxury but a mandate. These measures provide broader benefits such as job creation and technological advancement, which in turn create a stronger consumer base to support the value of the dinar from within. As we conclude this update, the broader picture shows Iraq taking a cautious, determined, and multi-faceted approach to financial reform. By addressing the critical pillars of currency management, gold reserves, oil dependency, and international cooperation simultaneously, Iraq is setting the stage for long-term stability. While uncertainty remains regarding the exact timing of specific events, the structured plan reflects a careful consideration of both domestic needs and global economic realities. Citizens and investors are encouraged to remain focused on verified information and official announcements in the coming weeks. The reforms underway are designed to provide a secure foundation for growth, and if executed correctly, promise a stronger, more independent Iraqi dinar in the years to come.